Welcome to the Automotive Digest. I'm your host, James Wyatt. Of course, with our special guest, as always, James McNeil from Precision Automotive and Transmission. James, great program today.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to all the new information that you've got for us. And we get a chance to visit like this on occasion. And every time I come in here, I'm always amazed at the amount of technology that you guys have acquired since the last time I was in here. Yeah. It's like a never-ending electronics show, pretty much around here. And today is no exception. We've got another piece of equipment that just quite frankly helps people save money and just makes the whole operation that much more efficient. Now, James, tell me a little bit about what we're going to see today.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about the new piece of equipment, and I found that if you have the latest equipment, the best technicians want to be at the shop where the latest equipment is, which is exciting. And so the new piece of equipment we got is actually a cleaning machine, and it cleans particulate filters on diesel engines. And particulate filters are something that's new to diesel engines.
Okay. Yeah, now this is a new development that basically a lot of folks may not be aware of, and a lot of things are going on as far as CAFE regulations, as far as fuel economy, which are prompting some of these changes in the industry, correct?
That's right. Now it's 2017, the CAFE requirements, the government requires the manufacturers combined trucks and car, their fuel economy has to be 35 miles to the gallon. And if they don't, there's some hefty fines on every vehicle that's sold. And but when we move forward from 2025, that's going to move up to 50 miles to the gallon.
And that's just 8 years away.
That's 8 years away. And 8 years away, the combined cars and truck fuel economy CAFE requirement is going to have to be 50 miles to the gallon. And so what that means is a lot of people right now, because of the very costly exhaust systems on diesel trucks, the particulate filter. Now diesel engines have catalytic converters, O2 sensors. You've got basically an $8,000 exhaust system on some of these new diesel trucks.
And that's more than an engine.
That's more than an engine, that's right.
People used to fear, engine trouble or transmission trouble.
That's right.
Now they need to fear exhaust trouble.
That's right. You've got basically probably a $10,000 engine in a diesel truck and an $8,000 exhaust system. And but that's being brought on by diesel engines are 30% more fuel efficient. And as these CAFE requirements, these fuel mileage requirements creep up every single year, the manufacturers are going to have to rely on diesel engines even more. Our church just had a van that we looked at. It was a new Ford van, 15-passenger van, and it had a V6 turbo engine in it, which normally you would see a V10 gas engine, a big engine. And now this engine it's got a 2.7 liter with a turbo. And so we're going to see all the manufacturers go into smaller gas engines with turbos and smaller diesel engines with turbos, and getting away from the big gas engines. And a lot of people are selling their diesel pickups right now, and they're, man, I had to get that gas truck because the diesel exhaust system and the diesel is so expensive to keep maintained. This piece of equipment that we've bought, we're excited about it because it's going to help the diesel owners stay in their diesel pickups and save a lot of money.
And for those out there that might be thinking about purchasing a diesel, this is good information to know, because this is something that, like you said, it's the difference between spending a few $100s or several $1,000s.
Right.
And we're going to get into some of the details about how these systems break down and some of the problems that you might see arise out of this.
Yes.
Well, James, I'm excited to see this. And again, like I say, it's always just, it's like a Christmas around here. It's always something new and different to look at.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed when you walked in today, we've got some ambulances here. We've got a motorhome to
not
work
for anything
on.
wrong. They're working on.
No, we're working on ambulances. We're working on a motorhome. We've got Camaros. We've got Chevy pickups, Ford pickups. I mean, it's a wide range of vehicles.
First responders depend on Precision Automotive.
That's
so
right.
Again, a great place to come for your automotive questions or anything you've got going on with your vehicle.
One other thing I wanted to mention, this particulate filter that we're going to be, this cleaning machine actually cleans this particular filter. It is to keep the black smoke. If you'll notice, a lot of diesel engines now don't put out as much black smoke as they used to.
Right.
Now a lot of people are buying the tuners and they're buying the pop-up kits and making lots of black smoke come out. But from the factory, these vehicles put out virtually no black smoke anymore. But that particulate filter is designed to catch that soot and keep the air cleaner. And so, but as that catches that soot, then that filter becomes stopped up, and as it becomes stopped up, then the computer on the truck, it knows that, and it puts it in a regen mode. Well, when it puts it in a regen mode, it starts dropping extra fuel into the engine, and that actually drops the fuel economy on these new diesel pickups. You take diesel pickups in the early 2000s would get 20 miles to the gallon, and now our new diesel pickups are getting 14, 15 miles a gallon, and we're losing that 4 or 5 miles to the gallon because of the particulate filter, the extra fuel that they're putting in there to try to clean that. But we've actually got a machine that'll clean the particulate filter, so it'll keep you out of the shop and actually save you fuel economy as well.
Absolutely, which saves you money in the long run.
You bet.
Well, we're going to take a look at that next, right here on the Automotive Digest. Don't go away.
Test your battery free at Precision Automotive and Transmission. And should you need a new one, vented batteries are just $89 installed with national warranty. An ASE certified technician will get you back on the road quickly. All this and 24/7 roadside assistance protecting you for 12 full months. You're in good hands with Precision Automotive and Transmission, 2675 North Main, Paris, Texas.
Welcome back to the Automotive Digest. I'm your host, James White. We've moved into the back bays here at Precision Automotive and Transmission, and of course our old friend Neil is here with us as well too. Neil, James was telling me some things out there that I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, why would anybody want this? But what we've got to underscore for people is this isn't really something the industry's doing. This is something the industry is being forced to do as far as these CAFE regulations. Can you kind of tell us about CAFE regulations and what that stands for?
Basically what they're trying to do, and it all came into effect with the Clean Air Act, and what they want to do is they want to keep the air clean, try to save the environment. So what they do is they start making all these rules and regulations to clean these vehicles up. Otherwise, you know, it would end up, I mean, there's no telling where we would be without it. I'm not real happy about them, but they do have benefits.
Well, it is a benefit, but it is one of those things that what people need to be aware of what's coming down the pike. Basically, what we've got now is we've got an exhaust system that's worth as much or more than the engine in your vehicle, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a solution today that, well, basically keeps you from having to hopefully replace that system with a brand new one at a price tag of $6,000 to maybe $8,000, but that can be cleaned with this machine right here for several $100s.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing as far as, I assume this is our patient, as usual. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing here.
Well, what we're going to do is we've got a chemical that runs through this machine that's going to clean the particulate filter. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the engine up to operating temperature, and we're going to monitor our exhaust gas temperature sensors. There's sensors within the exhaust system that let the computer know how the system's working and if it's working properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to monitor the sensors and let the exhaust system reach a certain temperature. Once we've got it to a certain operating temperature, we're going to introduce this chemical to it, and what this chemical is going to do is it's going to create a chemical reaction and actually clean the soot and unburnt fuel out of the filter itself.
Now, James was talking about that sometimes this is done as a heat process. You can
Yes.
actually send these units off and get it done as a heat process, but it does or doesn't work sometimes, and either way you have to pay for it. What this is basically a chemical heat process. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, we're doing the same thing that they're doing. Like I said, what James was talking about with the heat is when people have these problems, you get a bunch of ash, you get a bunch of fuel, soot built up in the filter, and it can't be cleaned out. Well, the truck can't run because it's restricted. So they take it off, they send it to a company, this company puts it in this big oven and gets it extremely hot. And once they get it extremely hot, it bakes out all the unburnt fuel and ash and soot that's in the filter. And basically when you send it to them, they bake it one time and they pull it out and they check it and they say, there's nothing we can do, it's, you know, X amount of dollars. Right. Sorry for your bad luck. Or in some cases they say, well, we did get it clean. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to simulate a 60-mile-an-hour load. Okay. So it's like we're driving 60 miles an hour down the road, which is going to help create heat, and then we're going to introduce this chemical which is going to go ahead and clean out the particulate filter itself.
And we want to emphasize too, this is the only one available in this area.
Yes.
As far as this particular machine
Yes.
is concerned. So diesel owners, take note. This is the machine that you need to not only improve fuel economy, but also performance as well too.
That's right.
Because if you're not running right, you're not pulling right.
That's right.
So
That's right.
all right, well good. Well, let's go to the first step.
Alrighty. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to hook our scanner up. We're going to warm the vehicle up till we get it to operating temperature. Then we're going to bring our RPM up to 1200 degrees, and we're going to hook this machine up and apply a load to it. And we're going to watch our exhaust gas temperature sensors, and we're going to watch, because what we're going to look for is if we've got an excess amount of unburnt fuel in the exhaust system, it's going to create spikes, and that heat's going to flare really quick. Well, we don't want to damage it, so what we have to do is we have to monitor those, and if they get to a point where they're too hot, where there's a bunch of fuel, we have to back it down, let that process kind of clean itself, and then go back into it again.
All right, so, very good.
So now we've got the scanner hooked up here.
And then what this system allows you to do is basically dial in specifically for this vehicle, correct?
Yes. Allows us to set it up precisely for the vehicle, as well to monitor and look for any other problems as we're performing the service. So we're going to look at exhaust gas temperature sensor 1, exhaust gas temperature 2, and then our engine coolant temp sensor, so we know when the engine's warmed up. Once we get the motor up to about 180, then we're going to hook the machine up, and then we'll start introducing the chemical to the vehicle.
Well, while we're waiting for that to heat up on the scanner over there just a little bit, let's talk about some of the chemicals that you're going to use in this cleaning process. You've got them all laid out here nice and neat for us. Tell us what we're looking at.
Well, we've got, like I said, we have different stages as far as through this cleaning process. There's different reasons why these filters become restricted or they become damaged. And it's usually either from a contaminated fuel system or it's from engine oil. Engine oil, when engine oil burns, it creates ash. Ash is carbon, it's a base element, it can't be broken down. So once that ash reaches a certain point within the filter, the filter's no good because there's no way to get that out. Right. So a way to prevent the ash is, for one, you run a low ash oil, right, which prevents ash, which helps save that. And then the other is you keep your fuel system clean. So what we have here is we have this, which is BG makes it's Engine Performance Restore. Basically what this does is once we've done the cleaning on the exhaust system, we put this in the engine oil, we add it to the oil, and we run it at 2,000 RPM for 30 minutes. And what this does is this splashes around on the inside of the crankcase. It cleans the rings, cleans the cylinder walls, any varnish that's built up. But the biggest thing is the oil rings, is it cleans them, right, keeps them from sticking, because if they stick, they'll stick in, the oil rings won't push out, scrape the oil off the cylinder, it goes past the rings, and it gets burnt. When it gets burnt, it goes out of the exhaust, contaminates the filter. Okay. And then we have this, once we've changed the oil, we add this to it. This is a low ash conditioner. It increases lubrication, helps reduce ash, and then just keeps everything on the inside of the motor working good. Okay.
So this is step one, sort of step two here?
Yes, okay. Yes. This is, we treat the oil, we clean it, we change the oil, then we add this chemical to it as well. This is for the fuel system. Like I said, the fuel system is real critical as well. If you've got a system that's over-fueling, put too much fuel in it, that extra fuel is going to catch in that filter. Well, when it catches in the filter, of course, it's going to build up, it's going to cause back pressure, you're going to lose power, then it has to go into regen. When it goes into regen, of course, your fuel mileage tanks, as everybody knows. So what this does is this keeps the fuel system in optimal condition so that we properly fuel the engine, so we're not over-fueling it, we're not under-fueling it. We keep any contaminants out of the injectors. One part goes into the fuel system as far as it goes directly to the pump, cleans the pump, the lines, the fuel injectors. It's very concentrated. And then we add this to the fuel system, and this actually cleans and lubricates, so it has a lubricant in it as well, which actually lubricates the injectors, lubricates the pump, so it prolongs injector life, injector pump, all that good stuff.
All in that little bottle.
All in a little bottle.
Right there.
So, and this is the chemical that's going to go in our machine that's going to create the chemical reaction, actually clean the filter.
So this is a very thorough setup.
It's very thorough.
And what no part goes unlooked at.
Right, right. And what we do is when we do these services, we have different levels. So if it's a vehicle that's got, let's say 50,000 miles and it's never been done, period, we're going to recommend the fuel system cleaning, the engine oil system cleaning, as well as the exhaust treatment as well. And once they've reached a certain point to where the systems are clean and we keep them maintained, then at that point, every 30,000 miles, you just come in for just an exhaust system cleaning.
Really? Wow.
And like I say, then with these systems costing, you know, upwards of $5,000 to $8,000, that's a whole lot cheaper than a new system.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it looks like our scanner says that we've heated up to an operating temperature.
Operating
now
temperature.
that will work for this machine. What's our next step?
Our next steps, we've got our intake tube removed for the air filter housing, so we can gain access to our inlet for the engine. So what we're going to do is, once we get this tube out of the way, we're going to hook this puck up right here. And what this does is it's a two-part tool. One, it's going to introduce the chemical into the motor itself, saying that's going to clean the intake, it's going to clean the valves, it's going to clean the pistons, it's going to clean the, and most importantly is the particulate filter.
Right.
All right, and the other thing that it does is, if you look, it's got all these little holes drilled in it, and they're actually very, very critical and very precise. This simulates a 60-mile-an-hour load. So what we're going to do is, when we hook this up, we bring the RPMs up, and it only allows a certain amount of air in, which is going to create us more heat, which is going to simulate that 60-mile-per-hour load. And at that point, we introduce the chemical. We start with the cleaning process.
They're kind of drilled at an angle.
Yeah, they're drilled and they create an airflow, so that way the chemical stays suspended. It doesn't just puddle anywhere. And then we've got the injector tip inside.
All right, we've got everything prepped as far as the truck is concerned. So
Yes.
now we've moved back to the machine here, and it's time to introduce one of our agents to the machine, correct?
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the cleaner in the machine.
Okay.
Then we're going to attach the machine to the vehicle, and as the vehicle runs, we're going to simulate a 60-mile-per-hour load to start heating up our particulate filters starting to get it ready. We've got the motor ready now. We've got to get the filter ready.
Okay.
So as that's warming up, this machine actually has a heater inside as well, and we're going to heat the chemical to 140 degrees as well. So we're going to take a 140 degree chemical, and we're going to introduce it to a 700-800 degree particulate filter, and it's going to start cleaning.
All right, fantastic. So 1 gallon is all it takes of this particular?
Yes, one gallon will do a 6-liter diesel engine.
Really?
We can actually do medium and heavy duty, as far as your big top kick vans, or not vans, big top kick like bucket trucks, dump trucks, all the way up to Freightliners. We have different pucks that are designed to allow different airflow for different size engines.
Okay.
So now we'll turn this on, let it start warming up.
Yeah, I was telling James earlier, it's like Christmas around here almost every time we come out and we do a program, because you guys always have new toys to play with.
We always do. And
I know you don't think of them as toys, but it always looks so cool because you got something new every time we come out here. So
we always try to stay up on whether it's technology or whatever the case is. I mean, there's always, if you ever think you know everything, you don't know nothing. So we try to stay up, keep all the latest equipment. We try to stay up with training. That way we can take care of our customers no matter what the circumstance or the vehicle. Turned properly. So now we're going to crank the truck up. We're going to position that on the intake, and then we're going to start watching our exhaust gas temperature sensors. We're going to look for spikes. We're going to watch the converter heat up and make sure two things: that the converter is working and that our exhaust gas temperature sensors are working as well. Because there are cases to where the exhaust gas temperatures read incorrectly and they don't warm up to a certain point, and if the computer does not see a certain temperature or a certain temperature variance, it won't run a regen test, and then you end up in reduced power and have a damaged particulate filter.
All right, great. So we'll get the truck fired up and we'll look for the result.
Sit. So now
I can hear like air blowing, and then that's what's basically putting the load on the engine.
with gasoline and diesel engines, they work completely different. With the gasoline engine, you measure how much air comes into the motor and you add that much fuel. With the diesel engine, you give it all the air that it wants, and then you add fuel to accommodate whatever load that you have at the time. So if you're just idling, we're just going to give it all the air we want and give it just a little bit of fuel. We've got a big load, we're still giving it all the air we want, but we're going to give it more fuel. So what we're doing is we're limiting the amount of air that's going into the motor, so we're actually putting a little more fuel in it, creating more heat.
Well, I know this may be a really basic question, but that's why a lot of people leave their diesel trucks running. A lot of times when they're, you see that a lot with commercial vehicles.
Diesels are very, very efficient. If a lot of, for one, they're direct injection. They've got a turbocharger and they run at a lot of compression. So you get all the potential energy out of the fuel that you're supplying the motor with. Right. So diesels are very, very efficient. You'll see a lot of people starting to go with them. Dodge actually has a half-ton. It's going to become a lot more
prevalent.
Yes. We're going to bring our RPM up to 1200 RPM.
Okay.
And we're going to watch our exhaust gas temperatures, and we'll start seeing those climb.
Hi, we're here at Precision Automotive and Transmission, and we're talking with Aaron. You guys have a lot of great programs for folks that may need a little help with that car repair bill.
Not only do we accept payments such as cash, checks, and credit cards, even the majors such as Discover and American Express, but we have special options to where you can go through and finance up to 12 months or as little as 3 months. And it's huge because you don't have to pay so much money down. It's as little as 25% versus the full amount.
Taking care of your car and pocketbook. Precision Automotive.
My name is Lori Russell and I've been a Precision customer for 3 years. Precision Automotive always takes great care of me and my vehicle. We recently went on a family vacation. However, before we left, we stopped by Precision. They checked on our tires. They found an issue with one of our tires that would have left us stranded on the side of the road. Precision Automotive always takes great care of my car and my family. Precision Automotive, I highly recommend them and I would never go anywhere else.
We're restricting the amount of air that goes into the motor, so there's actually excess fuel in it right now. And because we need that fuel, that excess fuel, to heat our particulate filter.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on, because the numbers are starting to match up.
Right. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to heat the converter up, or the particulate filter, and we want to see if it works. Now, our front exhaust gas temperature sensor is what's coming directly out of the motor, and then our temperature sensor 2 is what's at the back of our particulate filter. So what we're going to see is we're going to see our front climb very fast, our back's going to slowly catch up to it, but there's a point where the back is going to pass the front. And the reason is say we've got restriction back there, we've got that excess fuel in there, so we're actually creating heat with the inside the particulate filter. So now we know that our particulate filter works because our back temperature reading has passed our front. So we know we are capable of creating a chemical reaction and start burning off that fuel. So now that we've seen that, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and introduce our chemical to it, and then it's going to start cleaning it, and we'll see a little bit of movement up here as well as we're doing it.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
Back sensor will start to drop, and we will know that there's no more fuel, there's no more soot left inside of the particulate filter, and at that point it's clean, and that we've done our job.
So we'll actually see the results in real time.
Yes, we will see it.
Right here.
Yes.
Wow. Now, if a customer's coming in to get this done, what do they need to plan on time-wise?
Time-wise, it's best if they drop it off and leave it with us. Like I said, we've got different levels of the service that we can do. We do just the particulate filter as well, but we do offer the oil services, and we do offer the fuel services, which can add to that time. I would say a safe time would be probably 4 hours and that lets us analyze the converter or the particulate filter, make sure it's working, clean it, and then test drive the vehicle and then verify that it is clean and that everything's back together and that they don't have to bring it back. So
a 4 or 5 hour process that could literally save you thousands and thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
And extend the life of your diesel vehicle. So it's well worth the time and the investment.
Yes, well worth it. Well worth it.
Now we're starting to see some of the fluctuations as far as
now you can see it, yeah. Yeah, you can see our EGT1 is starting to climb, so there is excess fuel that's starting to get burnt, and then we'll see that ripple over into the second, our EGT2, as that fuel starts burning out within the particulate filter.
Wow.
We've done a lot of services with it, and everybody that we've done it for has absolutely loved it. See, you can see our EGT2 now has gone up. We're 1,300 degrees before, we're 1,100 degrees after. I mean, and it's still climbing. So it is actually cleaning. There is fuel left over in the particulate filter, and it's actually cleaning it as we speak. When our temperature goes up, we know we're burning fuel. So once we see that our filters are being cleaned, we'll let it continue to do that process. At the end, we're going to verify that our temperatures have dropped, because if we've cleaned all the soot and all the fuel out of the filter, there's nothing left to burn. Our temperatures come down. So at that point, we know our filter is clean. We'll reassemble the truck, which is basically just putting the air tubes back on, which is a 5-10 minute task. And then we're going to drive the vehicle. We're going to verify codes. So basically, we're just going to put it back together. We're going to test drive it, verify that we have cleaned the filter and that we have no further problems.
All right, fantastic. Well, if we haven't blown your mind up to this point with all this technology and what's going on, we wanted to add one more thing. We wanted to talk about one more thing that you wanted to point out to us, something else that we can do.
Yeah, a lot of people got a misconception about DEF fluid, not understanding what it's for and the reason for having it, and not wanting to have it. Of course, we don't want to have to go through the trouble of putting it in. But with the emission requirements we have today, and I want to show you real quick what we're used to seeing. And this is the AC Doco brand. They make it with several brands. It's still all quality. This stuff is made of 32.5% urea and 67.5% deionized water. What this fluid does is you have NOx emissions that come out of the engine, and cylinder temperature is what causes NOx to get higher. So we run a little leaner air fuel mixture in order to cut down on the heat going in the exhaust on this diesel here. The water just dissipates out of the DEF fluid. The ammonia in there has a chemical reaction. It reduces the NOx emissions, and it turns it into nitrogen and water, H2O. And that's really in a nutshell kind of how the system works. There's a lot of failures in it. A lot of times the quality of fluid is a very important thing. You can't leave fluid in there for a long time, and the heat kills the fluid. So you can't store fluid for like a year out in the sun in the shop. It's no good. And the quality of the fluid is a big issue, and I have seen in the past, some of those are a little tough to find, but we're here and we're capable of handling all your DEF concerns.
Now, this is even newer and more
yes, sir.
up-to-date technology than what we've been talking about.
Right. Yes, and some of the manufacturers have gotten around it with some of the federal requirements on emissions, and they haven't had to have the DEF fluid now, but now you see they're having it now.
Wow.
So GM was kind of the first on board with the fluid. So everybody kind of shied away from the GMs because of the fluid. Well, now pretty much everybody, even big trucks have the DEF fluid. And it's an important thing to remember, though. The quality of that fluid is very important. So you want to use a high quality fluid, and you don't want to cheat the system and try to pour any other type of chemical in there, because it will detect it and will cause a failure. And some of those repairs can get pretty intensive with the parts. The parts are pretty expensive on the system.
And we're all about technology and making sure that we're up to date on all the latest things here at Precision Automotive. And one of the things that I always encourage folks to do, if they've got a question, or if they've got a vehicle that perhaps has one of these systems, or they've got a question about what you've seen here today, feel free to give you guys a call, right?
Yeah, just give us a call. If you've got any kind of question, concern, I mean, whatever it is, just feel free to give us a call. I mean, we'll do all we can to help answer your questions, or, at least, because a lot of times, say we continue to learn. There's a lot of stuff out there that's on the road that's new technology that we haven't had a chance to get our hands on yet. And we love to learn, and we'll learn with you. We'll research it and try to help you out all we can.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for your time today. We appreciate
Yes,
it. We thank you for watching, too, right here at the Automotive Digest. We'll see you next time.